Hello, everybody. It's your friend James Shaw. Thanks for watching. You know what we like to do? We like to talk to people who are just absolutely crushing it in the real estate business. And you know what? Here's what we know. In order for you to succeed in real estate, it's about you growing your database and pouring into your database to add value to them. And when you do that, when you grow it and pour into it, business comes your way. And there's so many different strategies that you could use to grow and pour into your database. We're going to talk about one today, which is not new, but how you do it might be new, and that's farming, right? Picking a geographic farm or a demographic farm and going all in and adding value to those people you know and people you don't. And we have two agents that are just absolutely nailing it when it comes to farming at a high level, so they're going to give us the ins and outs today. We're going to start and allow them to introduce themselves. Paige, Morgan, tell us who you are and where you're from.
Well, good morning. I'm Paige Morgan, and I'm with the Paige Morgan Real Estate Group, and I'm in the Atlanta metro area. If anyone is familiar with East Cobb, that's where we are. We're Keller Williams, Atlanta North. I've been in the real estate business since birth, and I literally mean that. I come from a family of real estate folks, and I have my own family of real estate folks who work with me, and we're all farmers.
I love it. It's great. Ian, tell us about you.
Hey, thanks, James. So my name's Ian Veling. I'm in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, specifically Garner, which is just a little bit further south. I run a small team. It's myself and an assistant. She is licensed as well, Haley. She's really the brains behind everything. Paige has a leg up on me. I've not been in the business since birth. Been doing it about 10 years or so.
All right.
That's good, although it might feel like forever. So I love it. Ian, I want to start with you. Tell me, why did you choose farming, right? Why was this a strategy that you picked? There's lots of things we could do.
Sure. Great question. So honestly, I chose farming because it was just honestly the logical thing for me to do. I moved into a new neighborhood, and it was a higher price neighborhood or price point than I was used to, which is a good problem to have. So I started marketing to the neighborhood, and it took about a few months, but the results started trickling in. And so we just stepped it up from there.
All right. So to introduce yourself to your own community, farming made a lot of sense for you. I love that. And then we're going to talk about how you've used that and expanded it to really drive a great business. Paige, why did you farm?
It was very natural. We had been very entrenched in the community for many years. I came back into residential real estate when our youngest son, Andrew, who now is our director of sales, was old enough to get his driver's license, and I lost my job as carpool mom. So I already was involved in the touchdown club and at the country club with all of the golf teams. I was already going to church within the area. We lived in a 1,600 unit community with several different price points. I knew a lot of people. It seemed natural to me to ask the people that I had known for so long to let me take care of their largest investment. From
both of you
passing out baseball cleats to selling $2 million homes. It was an easy job.
Well, that's what I'm hearing from both of you. It just made sense. It just made sense on your involvement in the community or where you were living and how you wanted to grow the database. So let's help it make sense for everybody else. I know when I've talked with people about it, the most common question I hear, I don't know if you hear it too, is, well, how do I know what's a good farm? How do I know what to pick? What makes sense? So how do you, Paige, determine a good solid farm area other than you live right there? But what else? There's other stuff too.
Well, that was our first farm that we selected, and it has been our most successful farm, and we still farm it today and have a huge portion of our business that comes from that initial farm. But when you're establishing a farm, there are several different things that you need to look at, and you need to take your time and your energy up front to make sure that you're successful. Or to have a chance to be successful. The first thing that you need to do is you need to research an area that you think that you would like to farm. You want to go to your tax records and find out exactly how many units are within that subdivision. And you may have to do several subdivisions that are in a row or that are contiguous with one another so that you get enough homes to farm. My rule of thumb is that you need 500 homes to farm to be successful. So if you want to do move up neighborhoods, you can do that. But you look at that and then you take that information, you go directly to your listing services and you find out how many homes have sold in the last 5 years. I only went back 2 years until current times, but I go back 5 now because I want to see what the quote norm was before pandemic times. So I've got to know that there's enough activity that homes are turning over, and I want 10% of the neighborhood to turn over in a year.
Okay, so you're saying 500 homes minimum, 10% turnover. So we know there's going to be 50 transactions in there annually.
Correct.
And that gives us a ballpark. We'll talk a little bit about, well, does someone dominate the market? I've always thought that's overrated. Who cares if another agent is selling houses in there too? You're not going to get all 50 homes. You go get yours and they might get theirs. But you want 500 minimum, 10% turnover minimum, and you're going back and looking at 5 years worth of data. I love it. Ian, what about selecting the farm? You've got some other strategies and tips for people.
Absolutely. So I agree with Paige. I want to make sure that everybody's on the same mail route, because if it's not, it can get very expensive. So in our neighborhood, we have about 700 houses, and all of them are on the same mail route. And we use every door direct mail for physical mail, and we hit their mailbox a couple times a month, typically. And honestly, the biggest advantage for us is a Facebook group that we have. And it's a private Facebook group, and we market to them systematically on there. So I would suggest looking at, if you're looking to start a farm, does that farm already have a social media group? If it does, can you join it? If you can join it, can you become a moderator or an admin for the group?
How important is that for the social media presence to kind of, I don't know, does it amplify the stuff you're sending out? Does it help with the postcards? Tell me how important that social media part is, because I've heard it before.
It's probably our most important piece of farming, is just having a regular presence on social media in the neighborhood. I mean, we're looking for any reason to reach out to the farm to bring value to help these people. And we do it on a consistent basis, promoting everything that we do, from a neighborhood pool party to taco trucks coming on a Friday to open houses. Anything we do is posted on social media.
So what I'm hearing from both of you is you're doing a lot of stuff inside the community as well. It's not just send some postcards and wait for the phone to ring. You're both are actively engaged in the community. Paige, how important is that to be actively engaged in the community versus just sending out postcards?
Well, it's old school or new school. I mean, that's simple. Old school was you sent out postcards and you tried to get, 15, 16 a year, and you sent out recipes. Well, that's old school and people throw those away. Today, our market is so different. And I find that the greatest thing that we do in our farm are host events. And by hosting the events, we then have the opportunity to talk about our events on social media. We talk about our events in mailers, not just listed, just sold cards, but we invite people to our shredding events. We then follow up with the people who have joined our database from previous shredding events that we've had. We make sure that those people get VIP first hour access to the trucks for shredding. We do all kind of special things to make people feel special. We have seminars on should I stay or should I go? We're in a 50-year-old neighborhood, and some homes are being torn down, but some people have been in there for 50 years. Mm-hmm. So our aging population, I do senior seminars. I sponsored the swim team. So, from 2 to 102 is who I market to. And I make sure that anything that is involved, especially with our wonderful neighborhood children, is that we get photo releases to make sure that it's okay to post everybody. So with those photo releases, I get email addresses, telephone numbers, addresses, all of those great things. and then we're able to send photographs directly to the people and post them on social media.
Yeah, say you get them to drive them to your Facebook page to look at the pictures and share. It's really smart. So I want to ask both of you kind of a similar question but different. So Paige, the question to you is, if you were going to give a pro tip to somebody about events in their farm, what is that pro tip?
Make sure it involves children.
So you like it, well, and I think, Ian, you're doing similar stuff, right? You want the families in the neighborhood to come out. So if you've got grandkids, nieces and nephews, our own kids, whatever, but when you can involve the family, then that helps just keep people engaged in what's going on.
For
Ian,
sure.
Ian, now let me ask you though, because you said real big on social media. What's your social media pro tip to engage people online?
Promote everything that you're doing. So our biggest, I guess, ROI for the stuff that we do in farming is it's the drives that we do. So we do quarterly drives. We do a back to school drive, a food drive, a coat drive, and we also promote more or less a charity golf tournament. But the key is to make it easy for people to contribute to the community. So when we do these drives, we literally go door to door, dropping off paper bags on everybody's doorstep. We've got a flyer, typically with some real estate stats, and then a flyer for the drive. And then we tell them we'll come back a week later to pick up whatever the donation is. So these people don't have to do anything besides go in their pantry, get food that's going to go bad soon, and put it on their front porch the following week. And then we'd ride around in my truck, pick it up, and then donate it to the food bank. And all these people are entered into a giveaway for it's typically a gift card to the local restaurant here. But that's my pro tip on farming. Just get involved and come from contribution.
Did you both know when you got your real estate license that you're going to be event planners for a living? Is that what was on your radar? Because that's what I'm hearing. It's about events. So let's talk about then, how we pull it off. And I know I said, look, if another agent is dominant in a neighborhood, it may be overrated. Paige, I know you've got a standard around that if they're doing 25% or more of the business, you're going to move on to another neighborhood, which makes total sense. I get it. So tell me about how you built kind of the process on how you build a farm and how long it takes to get a return, Paige.
Well, when I am selecting a farm, it goes back to that research and selection, and I do my budget at that time, depending on the number of homes. And I want my marketing dollars to come back to me within 18 months. And that seems longer than most people are willing to wait for their marketing dollars to come back to them, but it is not for me. I'm in it for the long haul. I have the money set aside, and I spend a lot of money up front to make sure that everything in the community has our name on it. The ice cream truck that comes to the clubhouse for ice cream at the end of school, at the beginning of school, to the bus stops, everything that has our name on it, the pumpkin patches that we do, everything all in. I'm willing to see a return and a profit at 18 months. That's
18
what
months.
I think you need to be prepared for.
All right. So you're going to go out a year and a half before you really might even see a massive return on that. It's a lot of work on the front end to get some reward on the back end. That's what I'm hearing from you.
But I am saying profit at 18 months.
Right. So you're going to get deals. You're going to get deals, but you're spending money up front. You're hiring the ice cream truck to come in. You're hiring the shredder. I heard one time the shredder didn't come. What happened with that? You hired the shredder and it didn't show up?
Oh my gosh. And this is a big event for our community. We already have people calling us saying, when is the shredding truck coming for this year? And he didn't show up. And I had a line wrapped through the elementary school parking lot and down the parkway into our neighborhood. And, we were panic city, but we first of all ran to Chick-fil-A. I'm a good Southern girl, so my first thought was, let's feed them. So we started handing out chicken biscuits and waters with our name on it, getting names and addresses, which we always do. And then we apologized to everyone and told them that we would come directly to their home to pick up their shredding as soon as we got everything worked out. So it took about a week for us to get to the bottom of the shredding truck event, which was just a disaster. But anyway, we did, and we were able to go door to door. So this was our second meeting face to face with our farm folks. And it was received. I mean, if I had planned it, it couldn't have been better. It could not have been better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people were talking about it. Not only did she bring us biscuits, then she came to my house and got everything.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
was.
we need the playbook for how to do a shredding event without a shredder, because I'll tell you that the way you handled it, right? When bad things happen, you don't stop, keep moving forward, and you took advantage of it. And here's what I'm hearing. You built enough credibility in your area that they trusted you. They obviously knew it was a mistake or something weird had happened, and then they appreciated how you handled it. And that's the whole point. Ian, so tell me, again, your process. What are we waiting on? How long do we expect a return? What's our process in getting some ROI?
Sure. So when I started farming about 5 years ago, it took maybe a few months to get a return on it. And I started with just advertising on Facebook, asking the neighbors how they're tracking their home's equity. And I told them that I run a market update where we look at closed properties, active properties, what's under contract. And I just asked for their best email address, and I emailed this over to them on a monthly basis. I started with that, and then we started with postcards. And I'd say after 2 to 3 months, we started to see a return. It didn't take that long, and I was actually pretty surprised. But now I've got a couple hundred people, I think, that receive these market updates on a monthly basis.
I love that. That's great. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some tips to get started. If you've got somebody, and I'm almost going, I don't know that farming is the right word. What I'm hearing really is you're just actively engaged in your community. So whatever you call it, just be actively engaged with the communities that you're in, and support those communities, and business will come your way. So Paige, if they're looking for a place to start, what advice would you give them?
You have to be genuine. That's number one. And come from your heart. And if you are doing it in a manner that is not to get business, you will get the business. If you do it only to get business, you will not get business. I hope that made sense.
It makes perfect sense. Just come from contribution, support your community.
Absolutely come from contribution. And what Ian said about the food drive, our neighborhood has adopted an elementary school. And we make sure that prior to each school break, that the food pantry is completely stocked. And so that the parents can come when the children won't be getting the lunch and breakfast at school. So it started with just something of explaining to my community, we have a school that's almost within walking distance of us, that those kids go on spring break and they're hungry, and our kids go to the beach. What do you want to do about it? And I have found that my newest slogan for myself, both with my team members and my family and my farm areas, is what can I do to help? That's my key question, is what can I do to help? And when I ask that question, I always get an answer. So we're doing the backpacks, the school supplies, the food drives, the coats, the blankets, everything that Ian had mentioned. We, I really want to do this. I would be doing this anyway.
Well, you said start with your community, not with you, right? Let's make it about the area that we live in and support those people. And then enough business will come your way. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to find out how many children in their community are hungry. That when they're at school is when they eat, and you go on winter break and go on spring break and go on summer break. There is a need and desire to help. So I love how you've supported your community in that way. Ian, what advice would you give on how to start?
I'll just second what Paige said. More or less just find, what does your community need? What is it missing? Do the kids need food, like you were saying, James? And it's sad that a lot of kids don't have food, that the homeless people don't have coats. find out what your community needs, fill that void, and then make the community participate. Not make them, but they're going to participate. And then portray the community as the hero. You're not the hero. Your community is the hero. All you're doing is organizing it. That's it. And then thank the community, and then tell them what you have coming up next. What other needs are going to need to be met throughout the year, and just keep doing it. Put it on the calendar and follow it.
I love it. Paige agreed with you so much she almost fell out of her chair on that when you said make the community the hero. She was giving you a big high five on that, which is great. All right, Ian. Last tip, Ian. What's the last thing you want people to know as they think about how to farm their community and how to pour into their community? What do you want them to know?
When you're out and about meeting neighbors, whatever you're doing all this stuff, wear branded shirts, hoodies, something, so they see your logo. They want to see your logo and think of you every time you're out doing this. So you don't bring up real estate, but they can just look at you and know you're a real estate agent.
I like it. Paige, what's your tip?
Start with the schools, sponsor the school events, anything that involves someone's children. People will thank you. And the way they thank you is by giving you the opportunity to do business with them. And that's all I ask for, is the opportunity.
I love the perspective.
Real clear about that with events that I sponsor. When they ask me to speak, I say, you all know I'm in the real estate business. Please give me the opportunity. I'm not saying, please list your home with me. Just talk to me if you're thinking about selling.
It's great. And I love the perspective that both of you provided. Here's the lesson, right? Go and support your community, be active in it, be strategic in how you do it. Pay attention to what Paige and Ian said about how to pick the right places, but then just go be a great person and support your community and you'll win. I trust you enjoyed our conversation today. And if you did, we've got a bunch more stuff inside the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group or online at jamesdshaw.com. Just click Agent Interviews. You'll find a whole bunch of stuff in there. And if you always want to go deeper on some of these things, think about joining our Inspire Collective Mastermind. This is a chance where we can hang out and go deeper in the strategies that are working. If you're interested in that, you can get more details at jamesdshaw.com as well. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Paige and Ian too. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.